welcome to our open house. I'm Kristen Beckler. I'm a certified child life specialist, and I have been for this is year now 25. So Kaylee and I are both instructors at UC Santa Barbara. I teach the play course and the theory course, and Kaylee teaches death, dying, and bereavement classes, as well as the prep classes, which we'll get to talk a little bit about. This is what we're going to discuss today. We're going to talk about the pathways to becoming certified. We're going to talk about our program here at UC Santa Barbara, the courses that we offer, talk a little bit about the preparation course that Kaylee provides, and then how we work with the affiliations and what that means. And then we'll answer any questions that you may have. All right. So if you're new and this is, the first time you're really hearing about child life, you're like, I just want to see what this is all about. As child life specialists, our job is to really help reduce trauma associated with being in the hospital. We are educators. We work with families and children on coping techniques, preparation, normalizing activities, among a lot of other things to just help, again, normalize the environment and reduce trauma associated with being in the hospital. And so, overall, you need to have academic work to be a child life specialist, time working in the hospitals as a volunteer practicum, and then wrapping up with the internship. But we'll go over that a little bit. So, oh, there we go. There's our roadmap. I should have just flipped over here. So the first step is really starting with that eligibility assessment. If you have already started taking classes. If your undergraduate program, you took some child development courses, for example, go ahead and start that eligibility assessment. You'll find that in the ACLP website. So if you go to childlife.org, and you go into becoming certified, you'll find the instructions on how to access and start that eligibility assessment. I think, Kaylee, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's $80 and you only
Yep.
pay it one time, right?
Yep. One-time fee. So it's definitely worth doing like Kristen said, like right now, because you can go back and update your classes as you complete them as well.
That's right. And so, yeah, once you do it once, you don't have to pay for it again, and it's just kind of an ongoing document. We have the same system when we have to do our professional development units through the ACLP, so we just keep adding to that document over time. The course verification form is for you only need to do the course verification for the child life theory class, the first class that's taught by a child life specialist, although all of our classes are taught by child life specialists. There's the first theory class that needs to be verified, and we only really do this electronically. There is a form, and I do get a lot of students who send that to me, and I always send it back, and you can actually do it through the eligibility assessment. So when you're in the eligibility assessment, there'll be a course verification link, and you just click it and you look up our last name, whoever's teaching your theory class, by just our last name. You don't, if you add more information, oftentimes it won't find me. I'm probably the only Beckler in the system, but it still needs to have just a last name. It should be easy to find. And if you can't find it, I can give you my certification number. Any questions pop up about that or anything you want to add, Kaylee, about eligibility assessments?
No, and you briefly touched on this, but we get a lot of requests, teachers who don't teach the theory class. I get a ton every single quarter, course verification requests for my grief and loss class. I think that because you have the option to add verification, a lot of students will try and verify every single course taught by a child life specialist, but we are not, we actually, I literally talked to Alex a couple weeks ago, and Kristen's talked to Alex as well to confirm. He said, no, we don't need any verification of any course except for that theory. The theory class covers all of the requirements that ACLP needs. So we are instructed to ignore any requests that come through, and we don't want to be ignoring you. So we do follow up with emails and saying, hey, we got this. It's not required, but just know you do not need to verify any course outside of the theory and practice class course.
Yeah, that's a good point. I do get quite a few for the play class, and I do just ignore them. Sometimes I'll send you a message saying I don't need it, but if a bunch come in, it takes a little time. So the academic work that you need to do for Child Life, there's 10 required courses. Of course, an undergraduate degree is required. So typically students that come to UC Santa Barbara already have that undergraduate degree. And then you need those 10 additional courses. The first one we just were talking about, the theory class, two child development courses, a family systems course, the play course, death dying course, a research course, and it needs to be all encompassing research, not just one type of research. And then three additional courses in related areas. And we do offer all of the electives as well. But those could be anything from your undergraduate that might be beneficial. So it could be an ethics class, it could be anatomy class. There's a variety of different options that the ACLP allows for those three additional courses. So the clinical experiences can be a variety of things as well. So there's ACLP has these pre-internship modules. I do think that they're worthwhile going through. However, I still strongly encourage you to get some other experiences. That could be doing a child life practicum. That could be volunteering. We do have a lot of child life specialists who have started as playroom coordinators or child life assistants. So having some kind of experience where you set foot in the hospital. We know that in Child Life now they've changed a lot of the requirements for internships, so you can do a community internship if you want. But in order to work in a hospital, I strongly recommend that you have that you've set foot in a hospital. Like for example, the practicum that I have at UCSF, we actually use the pre-internship modules during the practicum. So we're doing them together. So if you're a volunteer in a hospital, take those pre-internship modules and just follow them along throughout your volunteer experience, or if you're working with children in another capacity. Practicums are not required anymore. They used to be required at many locations, but it's not a requirement. So you won't find that on any of the forms for applications. Anything else you want to add, Kaylee?
I did want to add that as you're looking at different sites to apply for internship, they might specifically have a requirement that you've done a practicum, but it isn't required by ACLP standards. But each hospital is allowed to have additional requirements outside of the one internship readiness common application. For example, the having a practicum, having a certain amount of volunteer hours, having extra letters of recommendation or extra essay prompts that you need to respond to. But it doesn't mean that ACLP's making that a standard requirement. It's hospital specific.
Exactly. All right. So our program here at UC Santa Barbara is, we do offer a certificate program, but it's not a master's degree program, graduate degree, or undergraduate degree. All of our classes are taught by child life specialists and they meet college level requirements. So they could potentially be transferred to a program if that university accepted them. All of our classes are asynchronous, so we record our lectures and post those weekly. And then there will be assignments attached to each of those lectures. So you don't actually need to be on Zoom at 6 o'clock on a Wednesday. The classes for my class, I post them usually on Sunday morning, and you usually have until Saturday night to complete the work. And I typically grade everything on Sunday morning. That's my routine. But some of the teachers are going to be a little different and will accept assignments at different times. But they are all asynchronous. So it's perfect for students who already have a bachelor degree and just want to go and be a child life specialist, but may not be ready or want to go get a master's degree right now. It could be for students who already have a master's degree. We've had PhD students have come back and taken our courses. So there's been a variety along the way. I've had speech therapists who have come back and gone back and taken the 10 courses with us. So it could be really anything. We also encourage, even if you're not really thinking about child life as a career option, we've had child life assistants, we've had different medical providers take some of our classes just as learning opportunities. We also offer webinars quarterly for professionals, and students are always more than welcome to sit in on those. Are free. So we have free webinars taught by child life specialists. So it's nice to hear what projects people are working on and just really opening your eyes to different programs around the country. Anything to add there, Sunny or Kaylee?
I just wanted to re-emphasize what you mentioned about the pre-approved classes. So The reason why I think that's really attractive about our program is, for the eligibility assessment, you have those 10 required courses. And a lot of people come in with classes from a bachelor's program or, maybe studying child development, maybe it's child life specific. And not every program has gone through the approval process with ACLP to actually have their courses pre-approved. And that's something that can be really attractive with our program because we don't want you to have to pay for a class that you might or might not have count towards your eligibility assessment. So sometimes we have students who are enrolled in a program where they're taking a lot of their classes, but they are like, you know what, I'm not sure if that specific play course at that university would count towards the eligibility assessment. So they might take it at UCSB. And then we have other students who are like, I just want to take all of them through UCSB because I know all those classes are going to count and I can kind of knock it out. So I just want to reemphasize that it's something that kind of gives our students peace of mind when they're kind of in that stage of pursuing their academic journey and completing that eligibility assessment.
Yeah. Oh, great points. Oh dear. Okay, so like Kaylee was saying, we have all of our courses are pre-approved, and so this is on our website, and this is when we offer all of the classes. So for the first class, which is that one that must be taught by a child life specialist. Sorry, I need to move everybody off my screen a little bit. Is the Introduction to Theory and Practice. That's offered in the winter and in the summer. So if you're starting out, then I would highly recommend looking in to the Theory and Practice. We added us another section, so I think we have some openings. Is that right, Sunny? That we still have openings? Yeah. And so therapeutic role of play is also winter and summer. Those fill up pretty fast as well. Kaylee teaches death, dying, and grief. I thought it was 3 times a year. Is it only twice? It's 3 times. So, oh, there it
And
is.
usually, yeah, it's 3 and usually multiple sections. We have another amazing instructor. And yeah, he's awesome.
Yes, they all are. And then assessment preparation and medical terminology. This is going to be one of the classes that you can take as one of your 3 extras. And I think regardless of if you need the 3 extras, you should take this class. It's a wonderful class that really dives into assessment and preparation. Palliative care and hospice is taught only 1 time a year, and a great class to really kind of open up and help understand what palliative care truly is. I think a lot of people assume palliative care is end of life work, and it's not necessarily the case. It's more working with chronic illness. And a variety of things. So that's a wonderful class taken. That could also be under the 3 extra classes. Family Systems is a required course, and that's offered twice a year. Children with disabilities, I think everyone should take this as well. I would like to take it myself. I think it's a wonderful addition because we work with so many children with a variety of abilities and neurodiversity. So this would be a really great addition to your 3 classes, and that's only offered once a year in the winter. Research methodologies is a required class offered twice a year. Child life and trauma is just a once a year, and that is also could be under the 3 extra classes that you take. And then, of course, the 2 child development classes are offered twice a year for birth to 8 and twice a year for 9 to 18. And then the 2 other ones that are listed here, the Child Life Prep Program, we're going to talk about that in a second, I think on the next slide. And then Child Life Supervision. And Child Life Supervision is if you do secure an internship and are affiliated with us, we would require you to take the Child Life Supervision course because internship is hard, and we really want our students to be supported throughout their internship. So we provide you with an academic advisor throughout your internship. So the prep course, I'm gonna let Kaylee take it away on that because this is her class.
Sure. So the prep course is rather unique in that we are not asynchronous. We meet 4 different times throughout the quarter. So you're gonna see when you register, it might say, summer quarter or fall quarter or whatnot, but the dates that the classes are offered will be posted and very clear that those are our meeting times. So each session we go over different topics, and this is really for students who are I've had a variety of students. I have some who are really early in discovering where they want to go and where do they want to volunteer and things like that. But I have others who are like, in the next year, I want to be applying for internships and I really want to be guided in that process. So we talk about the eligibility assessment, right? We get into the nitty gritty of it. We talk about what are the different classes. Do I think those classes will count? Will they not count? I connect them with ACLP resources in order to get answers that they need if I don't have the correct answer for them right then and there. We talk about those pre-internship modules. I love that Kristen mentioned that they use in their practicum. They actually use the modules. I talk a ton about the modules of it doesn't mean you have to get them in one place, but you as a student need to find opportunities from your either paid or volunteer experience that fit in with those pre-internship modules that you can speak to those different areas. And so we literally get into that and we talk about what that looks like. We obviously talk about the internship a lot. We talk about the what does affiliation look like and what are our requirements, which we'll kind of get into a little bit on the next page. Our second session, we talk about what are some of the types of interviews that you might encounter when being offered an interview for practicum, internship, and even a little bit we touch on fellowship and jobs? What are different types of questions, right? Behavioral questions, open-ended questions, scenario-based questions. What do those look like, and what are people actually trying to ask you and in expecting in your response? We talk about different etiquette regarding internship or interviews, and then tons of other information. And then one of our, but somewhere between the third and the fourth session, it kind of depends on the flow of the class. It looks different each quarter. I do mock interviews. So I tailor interviews for you as an individual student. We usually have no more than 10 students in that live teaching class cohort. And I tailor these interview questions and we go through and we share, I literally pretend like I'm an internship site or practicum site, depending on what your goal is, and ask you questions. I give live feedback. We have a massive success rate with students feeling so much more comfortable in interviews and actually obtaining and securing practicum and internships after taking this class because of the interview. People get really nervous, and I'm like, hey, this is the space to do it. This is where you want to fumble and talk too long in your answer and all that jazz because we're all going to get the feedback together. And then the fourth session, we kind of take a look at the internship readiness common application. We'll do some edits. I have a little checklist for you guys to actually like go through your application individually, kind of a self-assessment. And then I will also, most of the time, depending on the timing of the class and when internship applications are due, I will actually edit your applications once they're complete. And then we just do Q&A and advice. So we have students who are like, hey, what should I do here? Should I apply to this one? What do you think? So feel free. Sunny just mentioned, feel free to ask questions as we're sharing too about any of this, because we'll be able to tag team and answer your questions. But the prep course is definitely one of my favorite classes, and a really great way if you are wanting a little bit of extra support and not feeling it can be really isolating when you're applying, especially if you're not part of a built-in program. So we definitely created this class to kind of help guide you along um, your journey applying for internship.
Yeah, I can't say enough about this program as someone who's on the other side as an internship coordinator at UCSF. I receive all of the applications, and just to let you know, I mean, it's a very blinded application. And if you take this class, you'll learn a little bit more about what the application looks like. So it's hard for us on the other side to really see where students are from or where their experiences have been. But the last three students that we've had have all been UCSB students. So it shows that this is a really helpful program, and that was all they had 100 people competing with them. So if that tells you anything about that prep course, I 10 out of 10 recommend it. All right. So affiliation is something that Kaylee is kind of the queen of as well. And affiliation just means that you are connected to our university as getting academic support throughout your internship. We're establishing affiliations. It does take time. We currently are affiliated with UCSF in San Francisco and Stanford Children's Health down in Palo Alto. And then there's one other one. So it takes time for the affiliations to go into effect because we have to work with lawyers. But what is it's 4 to 6 months that we need to get the affiliations together. So if you have a hospital in mind that you are thinking, this is where I imagine myself getting an internship, you can email Kaylee at this number and she can let you know if she's already been in communication with that hospital because she emails hospitals all day long. Trying to see what the connections can be, what the partnership would look like. And then is that request form still available on the website? Yes.
Yeah, emailing is probably better, but yes, we do have the form too.
Okay.
I wanted
Um,
to add one more thing if you go back to the affiliation. So I wanted to kind of scale back and explain affiliation in another way as well, because when you might be at this stage, you might have already encountered affiliation, questions or not. But just to kind of give a general explanation, when students are ready and have finished their coursework and done some volunteering or practicum and they're applying for internships, different hospital sites have different requirements, right? It's not, oh, ACLP says this and this is what we do. Each hospital is going to look a little different. And that also is going to be the case for requiring affiliation or not. So if they don't require affiliation, you would be considered an unaffiliated student or an independent student. That's what those are called. You would not need to take our internship prep course. You could have taken classes from us or not taken classes from us. As long as you have your eligibility assessment complete, you can apply to several sites, and we have a whole list of students who've been accepted from our program to different unaffiliated sites because there's no legal negotiation, no contract, no back and forth. It's very, very clear cut. They might have some requirements for you that are very clear for you from the start of things that they require on their end, maybe some curriculum or some supervision that they require on their end. However, you have a lot of hospitals that do require you to be affiliated with a university. And so some of our students um, really have their top choice in hospitals to be an intern at are requiring affiliation. In order for you as a student, UCSB student, to be affiliated with our hospital or I'm sorry, with our university, you would be required to take 5 academic courses with us. That does not include the child life preparation class. This is specifically courses that count towards the eligibility assessment. And once you've completed those 5 classes, that's what qualifies you to be affiliated if you get an internship that requires affiliation. Something to clarify as well, affiliation doesn't mean you're guaranteed or you have a saved spot or anything like that. I know, and it's the same for even like master's or graduate degree programs. Like no one can guarantee you a spot. So I want to just clear up that, myth that sometimes it can look like that. The obtaining an internship is fully independent on you and where you're applying. It's fully driven by wherever you want to end up and where you want to go and where you get accepted. If you were to be selected at a hospital that requires affiliation, the hope would be that we've already known that you plan to apply there and we've already been in conversation with hospitals, because some hospitals are willing to create the contract ahead of time and we can get that going, which is the goal. Some hospitals don't create a contract until you get accepted as a student, but we want to be in conversation with them even before that point to know, do they have a template agreement we're going to work off of? Are they going to work off of our template agreement? What is that going to look like? And I get a lot of questions about what are the next steps. Say you apply as an affiliated student. I'm already in conversation with whatever hospital it is. You get accepted. I then connect Sunny and the legal team and we start that contract, and then the contract is complete and you're good to go. What do you do now? And the next steps after that would be enrolling in the internship supervision course, because that's what actually that's what technically qualifies you to be affiliated, right? You technically are enrolled as a student in addition to getting that academic support that Kristen mentioned earlier. Um, and the other thing that I wanted to mention is there will be requirements for you, whether you're an independent student or affiliated, in regards to liability insurance. So I don't want that to sound really foreign when you're actually getting these requests from hospitals, but hospitals do require that you obtain liability and insurance. And it sounds like kind of scary words, but it's actually very straightforward and easy to obtain. It's $40 on average a year, depending on what coverage the hospital sites require. It's totally based off of what they require. But that also is going to help them with what they're, that's going to be part of their requirements. And then on our end, you're going to be required to have had 5 academic courses and then enroll in that supervision course for us. And then the legal team takes care of all of the contracts. But we do want to be really transparent in that it has taken a lot longer to obtain contracts from both ends, right? It's a back and forth thing, and sometimes it gets shifted around to people. So we don't want there to be any surprises when you're like, I got accepted. Can you start a contract? I start in 2 weeks, because that's not going to be a realistic situation. And we literally just had that happen for summer, where we had to figure out pushing back a start date for somebody who got accepted, not based off of the timelines of ACLP. So we definitely encourage you to seek affiliate or seek internship sites that do follow ACLP guidelines. Because that is not just in regards to, when your application's due. Typically, that's what they're going to be covering content. And Kristen can speak to this. Obviously, they follow ACLP deadlines, and they also do those internship modules and things like that that are really crucial in preparing you to be ready to actually sit for the certification exam, and then actually the reality of working as a child life specialist someday. So feel free to drop any questions at all that you have about this. And I don't know, is our next slide actually questions? I can't remember.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, feel free to ask any questions about that, or anything. We're happy to answer, and we can even answer them live now that we're done with the slides.